Hello everyone, and welcome to a series of videos on how to set up and use the Gasmet DX4040 portable FTIR. If this is your first time using it, I hope that this guide is helpful to you so that you don't make the same mistakes and have the same struggles that I had. The goal of this video is really just to give you a quick understanding of what you need to do from opening the box to setting it up. So very first step, you'll notice it comes with an oodle of different materials. You'll want to pull out essentially just a couple of things. You need the Gasmet instrument itself. You'll need the sampling wand. You'll need to get yourself a bottle of nitrogen, which may or may not come with your rental. I hope that you rented it. This is a 99.999% nitrogen bottle of calibration gas that I got from our local vendor. You want to get that set up. The other thing you'll want to make sure you have set up is the PDA that comes with it. You definitely need the PDA. It's very important to run the instrument. I would say required. What you'll need to do is make sure that it's got a full battery or close to it. And you'll want to connect it via mini USB to the laptop that's either rented, or if we were able to get Calcomet standard onto our laptops in the future after this video is shot, then you'll want to do that. You also want to make sure that you have your USB key. This USB key is imprinted to each individual instrument. So this is unit 2888, which is actually broken, and we're gonna shoot a video on the process regardless. But what you want to do is make sure that that's inserted. Without that, you won't be able to do anything in Calcomet Pro. So that's kind of important. You'll go ahead and set that up, and now you've got your mobile device syncing. This will take a few seconds to connect, so once you connect it via USB, give it 30 seconds before you start to worry. Go ahead over to File Management and hit Browse. In Extended Storage, I'm going to double-click Extended Storage, right-click, and Create New Folder. You'll want to name it something like your project name, or I've inserted one here called BVNA. That's all you need to do. Once that's created, all of these subfolders will be created for you by the software. Okay, you'll also want to make sure that when you are actually ready to use the instrument and do setup, that you go ahead and plug it in, because this does take a little while, and the battery is fairly small on this. It's only a 2-hour battery, so go ahead and plug it in via cable. And as soon as you do that, you'll see that the panel will light up to show you how much power you've got. Via AC, if you've got power, it'll just run. If you've got a battery, then it's 20% per LED. So I recommend that you run all of your zeros and backgrounds on power and only actually come off power when you need to go out in the field. That'll save you on frustration and a variety of other factors. Okay, so the instrument needs to warm up. In order to know how long it's going to take, they say 30 minutes. It probably takes a little bit less, but let's plan for 30 minutes. Very next thing you'll want to do is flip over to Bluetooth mode. When you flip over to Bluetooth mode, now your PDA will be ready to connect to Calcomet Lite. So go ahead and hit the Calcomet Lite button. You'll need to use a stylus. Fingertip isn't really worthwhile for this type of PDA. Maybe you get a slightly different one and you can use it. If not, then you'll want to stick to that. Calcomet Lite is essentially what you'll do to take all your measurements. You actually press buttons on this instrument, on the PDA, and not on the device itself. It'll take a few seconds to connect to the analyzer, and then you'll get ready to measure. We'll cover zero calibration and everything else you need to know to actually run gas in another video. But right now I wanted to show you all the stuff that you need to do in your conference room or in your client's conference room or in your office prior to actually running it to make sure the instrument works. The very next step here is going to be to go to Measure and Hardware Status. What this will do is pull the hardware status from the instrument. As we mentioned, this instrument's actually broken, so I can see that via this red button here. A couple of things. First is the interferometer height, which means that there's a problem with the interferometer in voltage, so I know I've got a power source issue. And the second is, of course, the detector temperature is too cold. It's supposed to run pretty cold. It can go from negative 37 to positive 37 degrees Celsius, so don't panic if you see a number like that. But that red bar means it hasn't warmed up long enough. Shooting this video, I have done a couple of takes, and this one has been off for a few minutes. So we'll need to wait until that's nice and toasty, until it's warm and that red bar goes away, that red fill goes away. So the detector temp right now is just too cold to work with. While you're doing that, go ahead and go over to auto saving. and that should have essentially autosave all spectra. Then you'll want to go over to settings and measuring. Your next step is going to be to make sure that all of these are correct. So 60 seconds is our recommended time for running, 2 minutes for flushing, and you want to turn this off prior to doing the zero gas flushing. That's in another video, but we can do that now. The only other thing you want to do is save paths. So in save paths, this one's already set up, but essentially you'll want to go to browse, you go to extended storage, and then the folder that you just created should be in this list. So we'll go ahead and select BBNA, which I selected. We might do something like a project short name here, or even a project number. I would recommend something more descriptive so you can pick it out from a list. Go ahead and hit save. All of these folders will be created automatically for you. You might want to change this to something that's specific to the project. I'll show you where that shows up. After you've taken readings in the results subfolder, that will be what you're looking at. And the results, of course, for all of our test readings here. You'll want to make sure that that's something intelligible. It comes up as a default name that's not very helpful, so you want to make sure that you change that. Okay, next step is we're going to wait. We can hit OK there. What we're going to want to do is wait to make sure that our hardware status is acceptable. So right now it's still not. So the next video will assume that your hardware status is ready to go, and it'll walk you through going through the zero, which is the most important part of your entire process, setting your zero and background. GasMet calls background and zero the same thing, and then we'll talk about how to move forward from there.